Welcome to Fade It with Finn. I am Tony Finn. You are at WagerTalk, somewhere in WagerTalk in the virtual community, maybe the virtual neighborhood, but you're here. And you're here to listen to Fade It with Finn. Hey, guys, a nice 2-0 week last week. And before I give myself too many butt slaps on that, let me again. I've been really bad about making time to get over to the discussion board on this, and I will again, like I did last week. I'll make it over there sometime in the next 365 days, and we'll talk about anything you guys want to talk about, anything you're referencing, suggesting, anything you're calling me. Just so you know, it's pretty tough to hurt an old man like me. My feelings, that is, you can hurt me, but my feelings are pretty tough to hurt. Married 28 years, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I've been through the wars, and while it's my wife they're going to make a statue of because she put up with me that long, it is me that is battle tested. So let's get to what we're going to talk about. First, before I dive into this week's commentary, those who are listening, watching, and offering valuable time to support WagerTalk, we appreciate it. The WagerTalk team, myself, Mr. Everything, producer, director, and choreographer, I think make up in all those things to Sir Chris Allen. Thanks to him. So, 2 fades this week. 2-0 last week. We're above 500, guys, but we just haven't been. I haven't been very good. We've been 1-1. We have 1-0-2, and everything else has been 1-1. So, and 2-2-0s. It doesn't put us ahead of the curve, and it's been kind of a strange season. So let's get to the business at hand, so we can get the WagerTalk TV team, the media team, home for an argument or some kind of abuse from their significant other or their dog, whatever the case may be. In conclusion, that's what I want to thank you guys for. College, the NFL, all the football. This weekend, I will have everything that I'm going to be playing this weekend, save a possible proposition or two by a player. I think there's still some favorable positions to take in the prop game this weekend, but I need to have more intel on some injury information and quarterbacks that are going to start and quarterbacks that are going to sit. So don't forget, visit WagerTalk, visit my page. I'll have notes up there all week, and if you have any questions, you can reach me. Always reach me at the best place is Twitter, and my handle's a little strange, at Finn which is at Finn AT WagerTalk. That's my Twitter handle. Okay, we're going to talk about the first fade. The first fade for week 11 is what the producer want me to. Okay. We're betting on the Rams. We're backing the Rams, and we are fading the New Orleans Saints. Really, I could go over the schedule, guys. Both these teams have won 3 games. Who have they beaten? Nobody. I mean, nobody. New Orleans, their 3 wins, and I didn't put it in my notes, but I think it's relevant. So let me mention it. The Saints they won week 1, a game they should have never won at Atlanta. They had a great fourth quarter after the first 3 miserable quarters. They beat Atlanta 27-26. They lost 3 in a row. Then they came back. They beat Seattle at home on a week that Seattle was really bad, and Seattle's not a bad team. That's their best. That's their signature win of the season. It's against the Seattle Seahawks, who were projected to be the worst, the bottom dwellers, the bottom feeders in that NFC West. And they have beaten the Las Vegas Raiders right here, our hometown, Las Vegas Raiders. And that is nothing to write home right now. I mean, this is a Raiders team that things can't get worse. I just don't believe they can get worse. They'll get better for this team. The crying and the complaining and all of that, we'll have to wait for another day, because it does not help you win games. And those of us out here that would probably, at least I'd say, listen, go to your ATM machine, go to your safety deposit box, pull out a couple $100,000, put it in your coat pockets. You'll feel a lot better about life, and you won't be crying at the podium about losing a football game. And I won't mention I won't mention his name on air, but his initials, his last initial is Carr. If that answers your question. So why are we fading New Orleans, guys? We're fading New Orleans because they have zero offensive cohesion, consistency. Dalton is a capable backup in situations where a quarterback is going to miss an extended period of time to injury, or one game or a quarter or one play. I mean, Dalton's capable of that. But if you saw him last week, the truth is that it appears that the New Orleans is going for a complete rebuild, because Winston should be starting. He's healthy enough, from what I understand, the intel I have, he can start, but he's not. They announced that Dalton will start again, which really pushed me over the edge on this fade of New Orleans. Listen, the Rams aren't a great team, but on their worst day, guys, position by position, they are head and shoulders more capable than the Saints, save running back and Kamara. But that's not the most important position on the field unless you're the Tennessee Titans. It's just not in this NFL environment. So, I would say watch Jameis Winston's availability. If he's named a starter, then the Saints become much more live as a home favorite. But laying points on New Orleans is an absolute it's fiscal disaster. It's not responsible, and doing those kind of things, laying points against the reigning Super Bowl champions. I know they haven't played that. It's a bad idea, guys. It's just one of those things that sometimes you have to have some help being talked out of that. I'm as stubborn as anybody, but that's something you don't have to talk me out of. I'm not supporting the Saints. I haven't been really good against the Saints this year. It seems like they won the two times I played against them or faded them. They have beaten me. They're not going to this weekend. Stafford was announced as starter. He practiced in full today. This is the first time in almost 2 weeks he's practiced on full. And while he doesn't have Cooper Kupp's out, who is the most consistent offensive player, or at least the most consistent offensive weapon for Stafford, he is out for the rest of the season. And you're going to see a lot of Allen Robinson, a lot of Van Jefferson, and you're going to see Schoeneck, Ben, as well at the receiver spot. And with or without Kupp, this Rams team, again, is still better. Defensive line, they're actually, as bad as they've been on the offensive front, they still have a better offensive line than the Saints. I mean, the Saints were bad from the beginning. I mean, that first game that they beat Atlanta, they were beat down. They didn't play. They played like crap, guys. They're horrible. They've been stuck on awful since then. Have they had their 15 minutes? Yes, they've had their 15 minutes, and it's been against the Raiders, the Seahawks, and the Falcons, and that's just not good enough. The offense, special teams, awful. The offense is awful. The defense played well early when Lattimore was healthy, but they're not healthy either, and they can't turn anybody over, and they turn the ball over on offense too much. They lost to the Panthers in one of the most ugly 22-14 fashions. If you watch that game and you watch certain parts of that game, you couldn't pause. You would have run from that team screaming at the top of your lungs that somebody was trying to kill you or break you or, take your money, because that's what you would be doing by backing the Saints. This is a team that should never. They're not good enough to be laying the points that they're laying in this game. There was some time this week that when they didn't know about Stafford, that some books, be it off the map, offshores, for instance, had the Saints at -4.5. You have to ignore the stats from the Rams, and you have to actually ignore the stats from the Saints and just look at this game position by position, the important pieces being a quarterback, center, defensive line, the trenches, those kind of things. And you're going to find that, the Saints have some really they have some really cool pieces. Hill, when he comes in and plays that wildcat look, and he's so athletic, he does things, makes it look really easy. He's not the best. He doesn't have the best arm. He's not very accurate, but he was adequate too when he started in a couple games this year. So you're gonna see Stafford. You're going to see an offense 3-6 Rams team that knows this is a game they're going to win. They theoretically and mathematically they're not out of the playoffs. I mean, the best team in this division is 5-4, and the Rams are 3-6, and that's San Francisco. And I'd love to. We'll talk more about San Francisco, obviously, in our next fade. It's not San Francisco, but it's the team they beat last week. All in all, I spent far too much time on this. It really wasn't necessary, but I like doing this, so I'll talk until the producer just cuts me off, But that said, this is really an easy play. If it wasn't, and we're getting points with the Rams. You can get 3.5 right now. Now it's going to cost you a little bit. I think it's $1. I think it's 3.5 minus 120. But you can probably get a 3 at 110. And in fact, I know you can. I'm looking at one right now, so you can get that. And we get the Rams, take the 3. I wouldn't necessarily take the 3 and the Rams. I'm personally going to be I'll have the Rams, but I'll have them on the money line because we can get about $1. We can get $1.25 or $1.30 in this game. We're not going to get any more than that, especially when kickoff comes around, and everybody realizes that Winston's not starting a quarterback. So, all of that said, guys, the Saints team has no choice but to rebuild, and I think that's why they're not playing Jameis Winston, because I don't think he's going to be their quarterback next year. And while Coach Allen continues to say, well, we're examining and assessing the situation, and we're not sure who's going to start every week. It's been Hill one or two times, and it has been the ex-Cincinnati Bengal veteran that just is who he is, and that's a quarterback that's going to lose you a lot more games than he wins you. Sure, okay. No Cooper Kupp, pretty big connection for Stafford. However, this team, again, every piece they have right now healthy and playing and active on Sunday is better than the Saints at every single position save running back. We're going to fade New Orleans, and we're going to do it getting points. Our second fade of Week 11, we're going to go to SoFi Stadium, which is home of the Rams. But we are fading the Los Angeles Chargers. And when I talked to some people about this game and told them that it was going to be the fade for the show, they were surprised. They were surprised because of how well, or at least how well, they believe the Rams or the Chargers played last week against who they believe to be the best team in the NFC West, and that being the San Francisco Giants, San Francisco 49ers. And they are the best team. However, they have some serious holes. 49ers have some serious holes. One of them's a quarterback. And I've never been a huge Shanahan fan, but what they did last week was mystifying as far as play calling goes early in the game. We're going to start with good news. The good news is the Chargers did get got a report that quarterback Justin Herbert, not Bear as I want to call him, and linebacker Kenneth Murray Jr., both who were mandated to be evaluated for concussions and go into the protocol, were cleared. They'll both play, which is good news for Chargers fans. At 5-4, this former San Diego, now Los Angeles team are 8th in the AFC. They're one spot outside of a playoff berth looking in. And that's where they should be right now. They're just not healthy enough to the games they've won and the games they've lost. They should have lost the games they lost. And the games they've won, they were fortuitous. It was a fortuitous situation. In most cases, they were facing teams that had one bad or one mission critical injury or were as injury riddled as they are, maybe worse. Sunday's game, 22-16 loss. That's all I'm going to talk about. 22-16 loss Sunday at San Francisco. They only had, by the time the game ended, they only had 3 players available for the defensive line, for the tackle position, per se. They lost Otito. Algonia, Christian Covington. And these are significant injuries, guys. They're significant. I read and I heard, all I could hear, I don't listen to it anymore, about how well that the Chargers put out their best defensive effort of the season last weekend. Well, if that's their best, here's my take. I like the Chargers. I think they're the best team in this division. However, I don't think they're Super Bowl. I don't think they are. They may be this. They may be the NFC team to represent the conference on Super Bowl Sunday. They may earn that sideline. And if that's the case, then the AFC, be it the Chiefs, Buffalo, the Bengals, Baltimore, Miami, they all of them will beat San Francisco, all things equal, and that we don't have two turnovers as we're trying to get in from the 2-yard line in the end zone. You have a turnover, and that's you don't do that in the Super Bowl because you're not going to win. Or at least you're not going to make it easy on yourself. Both the players I mentioned for Los Angeles, they were injured in that loss to the 49ers, and it's been going on. It really happened in Week 9 for the Chargers, really when they suffered an injury that set this season spiraling downward. And most people laugh at me when I say that because they were 5-3 going into game last weekend in the playoff. They were part of the playoff picture, at least the bracket. And really, they're the most injured team in the NFL. They have more injuries than any team in the NFL this season so far to date. And that's pretty typical for this Chargers. They've had some bad luck too, guys. Some of the injuries are bad luck. They've had some good luck. They own that 5-3 record, now 5-4. They after beating the Atlanta Falcons in Week 9, they put themselves really right back in that playoff picture, and people got enthused, and they got their glass went from being almost empty to half full, which is where you have to be. You have to be optimistic. But this Chargers team ranks 22nd in average point margin. It's worse than the Las Vegas Raiders. It's worse than the Las Vegas Raiders. They've been blown out twice. That they were never a part of the game. Never a part of the game. And I pull up their schedule, but I know I can feel the producers and directors saying, "Tony, you're going way too long. But I need about one more minute, and we'll get this done for you guys, so you can get on your way too." But I want to pull up the Rams' 3 wins. The Rams' 3 wins this year are very much like the Los Angeles Chargers. They didn't beat anybody. They played a little tougher schedule than the Saints have, in my opinion, but they've beaten Atlanta, they've beaten Arizona, and their last win came against Carolina. So that's not 3 wins that are going to get you on the ESPN ESPN show later in the off season. That's just not going to. And here's the gist of this game. Again, this Chargers team has won games they shouldn't have won. They've been fortunate. They as much bad luck as they've had injury wise, they've been fortunate on the field. They've faced some teams who are as injured as they were, and were able to beat those teams. They haven't beaten anybody either, to be honest with you. And they're not going to win Sunday against a Chiefs team that's just getting healthier and adding players to a roster, adding a receiver, a jet sweep threat, a receiver that stretches the field, Tony, that I cannot believe they were able to sign, or anyone else let them sign. Typically, you would see some of the other teams behind the Chiefs making a point to offer more money to get in the way of that, but nobody did. And it was a coup. I'm telling you right now, that's an absolute coup for this Chiefs team. So looking at this game, the Chargers game, their offensive line's a mess. The Chiefs are rushing the quarterback better than they have last year. Spags always gets better with his defenses as the season goes along. Very good at adjusting between games. And a fair, and I'm not going to say he's the best because he's not, a fair in-game adjuster. At halftime, he does a good job. Andy Reid does a fantastic job. They're scripted plays. The Chiefs are the best team in the National Football League. The first 20 plays on the field, the first drives, they're the best. Why? Because Andy Reid and the football mind that he has. And that's just, I'll argue with anybody about that if they try to tell me that's not accurate, because It's very possible it's not accurate in their minds, and there's no reason to argue because you're never going to change my mind about it. We might, but I don't think so. This is a game where the Chiefs are having to lay a pretty big number. They were laying a big number, guys. They were laying 7.5. I believe that unless they announced that they were going to get somebody to help catch the ball, some of their injured back from IL to help Herbert catch the ball, that this game the Sharps would never bring this back. They would never buy 7 and the hook. And what happened was Keenan Allen might play, and it looks like Mike Williams might play. I think that they're not 100% healthy. I think it's a detriment. I think if they're a liability, this team, you put them on the field. Them injured, they're not. You can't do it in the NFL. You can at certain positions, but not at wide receiver, not at quarterback, not at running back. You just can't. There's certain positions you can kick, with a bad knee, as long as it's not your kicking knee, et cetera, et cetera. But it's very difficult to run. And that's why I don't think, just to mention to you guys, I don't think Murray starts for Arizona. I just don't think he's going to start for Arizona, which makes that a whole nother conversation. But, despite dealing with all those injuries, the Chargers did find ways to win. They were competitive. They looked good at times when they needed to keep the fans interested and to keep Keenan Allen and Mike Williams trying really hard to get healthy. They want to get them back. They want to give this thing a shot. They want to try to make the playoffs. When the Chiefs win this game on Sunday, it's going to put them at 8-2, and it's going to put the Chargers at 5-5. And it's down. And it's basically it's game, set, match for anyone else in the AFC West. In truth, I don't believe anybody in the AFC West will make the playoffs. This was a division supposed to be the Rock. They were supposed to be the Playboy Bunnies. They were supposed to be the NFL Films team. The crew was going to be falling around because everybody in this division could be Super Bowl contenders or postseason contenders. Right now, the Raiders are done. They're dirt. They're dust. They're done. Denver made one of the worst trades. This will go down one of the worst trades in history, giving away a ton of first-round weight for a quarterback that's past his prime. And a Chargers team is really good. Brandon Staley has a good team. They're just too damaged, guys. They're too damaged. We're going to fade the Chargers. We're fading New Orleans 2-0 this weekend. I'm going to tell you right now, I've already made the parlay, and I parlayed a money line, so that I'm cheating a little bit with the Chiefs, but I'm Chiefs minus the money line, and I'm on the Rams plus the money line in a 2-team parlay. We'll be talking about it next Thursday as a 2-0 parlay sweep, and hopefully this information comes to fruition and helps you in your recreational fun, your gaming investments. I'm Tony Finn. I want to thank you for dropping by. It's fun to do these, and let's see if we can't come up with a couple more and maybe have a couple different shows next season. But for now, I'm Faded with Finn. I'm Tony Finn. I'm out. Don't forget, bet on the Chiefs, bet on the Rams. Fade the Saints. Fade Chargers. See you next week.